give it a few seconds, and I've got my laptop over here. And come on. Yep. Well, it looks like we're live. Welcome, everybody, to our first virtual training. This is definitely new territory for all of us. Be nice, as we're all guinea pigs. You're guinea pigs on your end because we don't get to hear you vocally, but we get to see you. And it looks like, man, this is great. We've got a lot of good mornings. Y'all are greeting each other. That's excellent. We're guinea pigs because we've never done it this way before. So thanks for putting up with us. We might have some glitches along the way. Truth be told, this will be our first time in the software that we're using. And so we're all going to be presenting, and some of us will go away and some of us will come back. We've got Stephanie Fox, who's going to be backstage and helping to answer questions. If you see some answers that are from me, it might be from Stephanie, it might be from Wayne or Katie, because we're all using my account. We're going to try to figure out a way to, where you're actually going to hear from them and not always from me. And then we've also got Katie, who is going to be presenting with us, and Wayne, who's going to be presenting. We're all going to be live. There's some housekeeping items that we need to take care of. First, questions have been, are the sessions being recorded? Yes, they are being recorded. The link that you have for the, why does mine say classroom practice?
You can change the name.
Oh, just call me Mr. Practice. So I'll figure that out in a minute. Anyway, yes, so the link that you get for the live will also be the link for the video. So you can watch it asynchronously and at your convenience, obviously. You can come in and leave and come back in. It's YouTube, so you can come into the session. You can pick up where you left off. You can start from the beginning. You can start live with us. However you want to do it, you can do that. You should have Q&A down in that box down there. Obviously, you guys are finding a really good job, doing a really good job of finding that. And yeah. So there's that question about clock hours. So you'll be asked to complete some assignments during the course of the session, both live and recorded. And then there'll be a quote unquote final project. And basically the project is you'll have already created your classroom, because hopefully you're going to be doing that with us. We'll take you step by step, but you're going to hopefully be able to step by step with us. And if you have questions, put them in the question box and one of us will answer them. But the final project will be to share that classroom with us, and there'll be an assignment with that, would be creating an assignment. There's some parameters about that. You can, and you'll understand more if you haven't been in classroom, you'll understand more what we're talking about, but you don't have to assign that. You don't have to post that. You can save it as a draft. And then when we come in to take a look and make sure all the assignments are completed so that we can give it over to clock hours, we'll go in and delete that assignment for you. And then we'll remove us as a co-teacher. So then you have your classroom pristine and hopefully ready to go. You can continue working in it. That's just the one assignment that we're going to need to take a look at. If you don't want that assignment deleted, let me know. Shoot me an email, and we'll make sure that we don't delete that, because it's something you're actually creating, which would be cool. That would be wonderful. I think that's about all on the housekeeping. Anything from you guys? Can you think of any other housekeeping?
I think so.
Okay. So there will be a slide deck and that you will have access to. Let me grab that link. Whoops. I'm going to grab that link and I'll post it in here. And the slide deck should be coming to you fairly soon. There is about a 10-second delay between what we're doing and what you're seeing and hearing. So, oh, thank you. Wonderful. The link should be linkable, active in the Q&A, and then there's also the, you can go to slides. You can go to bit.ly/CSDG Classroom 2020. The CSDGC are all capitalized. It is case sensitive. So we're actually starting, I think, on, I don't know, the second slide or something. With yours, our numbering is a little bit different. But basically, Classroom, it's a learning management system. It's one of the two learning management systems that the district has decided to focus in on. Seesaw is being the other one, and that's going to be K2. And 312 is going to be Google Classroom. So it's pretty easy to use, pretty simple. You can use your Google site, your Classroom site, in conjunction with Google Classroom. You can post your assignments and give the links there as well. You can share out materials to parents and put student works there and things like that. So in the slide deck that you have, there will be some gray text that you'll see. That is going to be information that's probably more expectations on the district side, and we'll go over those as you see them. So for logging in and setting up the first section, I'm going to give it over to Wayne to drive, and Katie's going to be backstage answering questions. You'll see Wayne going through and doing exactly what hopefully you're going to be doing. If you've created a classroom in the past, then we'll get to you in just a second. This part is going to be for those who have never created a classroom before. So essentially, there are a couple ways to get to Google Classroom. One is if you're in Mail or your Drive, one of the core home pages of Google, you'll have the waffle on the right side, and you can go to the waffle and click on that, and one of your options, if you scroll down, you should be able to find Classroom, and it's the green box with the yellow around it, and if you just click on that, that will take you to it. Another way is you can type in classroom.google.com. Just as a little freebie here, if you typed in sheets.google.com or docs.google.com or drive.google.com, that will take you to those specific sites as well. So just know that that's a little cheat sheet for you. So we're going to go to classroom.google.com, and you're going to put that in your Omnibar, and where the URL address is called the Omnibar. So we'll go ahead and hit the enter, and you should have a window that looks like Wayne's. And Wayne, you might want to hide that little banner down at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Make sure you're logged into your school account, please, and that will make it a little bit easier for you. Wayne is logged in as teaching and learning, and that's going to be important a little bit later. So first thing you're going to do, if you've not logged in, you will probably see a window that says confirm your account, and that'll be that green window, and just say confirm, and then you're going to choose that you are a teacher. Okay, and once you do that, you should be able to get to the plus up in the top right. So you're going to click that, and you're going to create a class. Eventually, you're going to go and join a class that we create, and you're going to be a student, but you're going to join that class. So we're going to keep that blank for a second, because you're those that have created it, you're going to be at that page. If you've already created a classroom in the past, you can either open up an old classroom that you've already used to practice with, or if you go to the plus, you're gonna you can create a class also, and you will still get this window. So we want to make sure that we get to this window so that you can start naming it. If you've already created a class, you'll see a cog at the top right. We can't demonstrate that right now, but you'll see a cog at the top right, and you're going to choose settings. And then when you click settings, you should get to a window that looks very similar to this. It'll have the create class or the class name in there. So it doesn't look like we have, if we, so we're good there. So class name, here's a suggestion. Courses, probably for ease of this year especially, the course name in the school year is probably going to be a really good naming convention. So like 4th grade 2021 or Spanish 2020, Spanish 1 2021. And Katie, Wayne, Stephanie, you guys can chip in here. Is it better to, for like the elementary, is it better to create a classroom for each subject, or just the one subject? Or same thing for the middle school, you're probably going to want to create one for each subject. Is that correct?
I would say, yeah. I know teaching 4th grade, I would have one general classroom for all of my class. And that would be the same kids that I shared with another teacher. But that was for 4th grade. I could see older grades creating individual classes for each class. So I guess it depends.
Okay, good. Section, if you want to, if it's applicable, you could fill that in. It could be that you're doing Spanish 1A this time. It could be, and then for next one, you create another one for 1B, or whatever you're going to want to do. The subject is optional, and the room number is optional. Your naming convention, like I say, is probably going to want to be your course and then 2021, and it's easy to find also a little bit later on in the year or in the years to come. So once you do that, click on create, and your classroom should be created in a moment. It does take just a minute to create because it's trying to link everything that you have to the classroom. You can just click out the X or say got it to the window if you receive that window. But everyone should be, hopefully at this point, in their Google Classroom. So first thing we're going to take a look at is there is a class. We're going to go ahead and go to the, oh boy, did I scoot ahead. We're going to go to the cog up at the top right and choose settings again if you haven't already done this, or no, you're already in there. So let's scroll down. So you're going to click the cog, and then we're going to scroll down. You know what? I think I've gone off script here. So let me, let's go back out of that. I'm sorry, everyone. We're, like I say, we're practicing this too. Okay, so we'll go over the headings. So at the top, you've got stream, you've got classwork, you've got people, and you've got grades. And stream and classwork are pretty much where you're gonna live. And we'll start setting those up. So now let's go. Now let's go to the cog and go in, because that's where we get our class code and all of that. Yep. And now let's go down to general. That's what I was looking for. So in your class code, our recommendation is if you have a 1 or an L, the letter L, I would recommend to click the caret and reset, because a lot of times it's very difficult to distinguish between the L and the 1, especially for the younger kids. So, you can reset it as many times as you want. If you're in here and you send part of your class this code, you decide I don't like that code anymore, and you reset the code and you send a new code, those that were already in your classroom will remain in your classroom. They won't be removed because it's a different code. So you can change the code, but your students will still be there. In the stream, we would recommend that students can only comment, or only teachers can post a comment. If you put students can post and comment, you're opening up a whole world for the kids to have fun. Unfortunately, sometimes being a little bit more of a bully, but those are the two. So if the students can only comment, then that's all they can do. If you decide that only teachers can post, and then they're only going to see things from you, they cannot even respond. So, and I'll have a chart for that a little bit in your slide deck. Under the classwork on the stream, the recommendation is hide notifications. If you don't hide notifications, you will probably be inundated with emails. And we already have enough emails going on that we don't need more. So hide the recommendations. The show deleted items, you can toggle that on or off. It would show what items have been that you've deleted, or you don't. If you deleted them, you probably don't need to see them, and so it doesn't take up as much real estate, and it looks cleaner for you. Just know that if you deleted something, you can always turn that on and then undelete it. So that is where you would do that. Under the let's see, I have Guardian. Did I miss something? Classwork, show deleted items, and then there's Guardian summaries. Where is that, Wayne? Is that still under general? Show deleted, classroom. Keep on going down. There's grading. Grade categories, don't need that yet. Keep going. That's it, huh? Okay, go ahead and save that, Wayne. Let's see what happens. Because under the general should also be the meat. Let's go back to the cog. And down. What am I missing here, guys?
I think you need to go to the people section. So up at the top, click on people.
And then, well, there's the...
I'm not sure that you can do that because you don't have any students or parents in there yet.
That's probably true, because I was going off of, yeah, that's probably true.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll come back to that. Okay, so up in the top left is the hamburger. Oh, let's get out of that. Yep, top left, you got the hamburger. And this is where your global settings are. So this is for all classrooms that you create. So we're going to go to settings down at the bottom. And then there's some email notifications as well. If you don't want any email notifications whatsoever from any classroom, then you would turn the email off and it will turn everything off. If you want to customize one classroom that you do want email notification, but another one you don't, then you can make those changes here. And some of those are, if you do want it, then make sure you have received the emails on. There's a chart that tells you basically what all of these toggles will do. The comments on your post, someone can post a comment. Someone mentions you in the post, then you would get a notification on the comments that mention you. The private comments on work, a student sends you a private comment, you'll get a notification on that. That's probably one you're going to want on. On the next section, the classes you teach. The work and other posts, if a teacher creates an assignment, you'll get your co-teacher then, or that you're enrolled in, then you're going to get a notification. If there are returned work and grades, then the teacher grade and resumes work, you'll get a notification. So I'm not going to go through all of those. There is a chart in the slide deck that explains every one of those, and you can set that up as you want. If you have questions, feel free to email any of us, and we'll be glad to walk you through and help you through that. Okay, so let's save that. And we're going to go back up to the hamburger. And choose classes. Your classroom, yep. And you're back in your classroom. You can change your themes. In the bottom right of that big banner is select theme, and you can make it pretty. They have some built-in options for you, and so you can change it to something that fits what you're wanting. And so you can change those all you want. So go ahead and change one if you want, Wayne. And so he'll select one and then click the blue button, and that will change your background. You've got on that banner, you've got your title, and you also have the class code there. On the class code, if you click on that little kind of box that says display, if you're displaying it in class, it will show that. And if you just click on the bottom right, it will make it your screen size. So it makes it a little bit easier for students to put that code in because you can make it big. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the People tab. And this is where you would add students or teachers. So Katie is now a student in here. And you can add students by a few ways. One, you can click on that little person to the top and you can enter each student. I would recommend not doing that, but you could do that. The other way would be when students go in, remember the plus and it said create a class or join a class. They would join a class and then you would put that code up for them to see. They would enter that code and then you would just see them populate under students. And it's just a little bit easier when they do it themselves. You could probably even do that in a Google Meet or a Zoom. Makes it where they can add it, or again, you can enter an email address and add it as well. Same thing true for teachers. So if you're co-teaching, you can click on the little teacher button there and also add your co-teacher's email address. And then invite them. and now they are a co-teacher. Co-teachers have the same capabilities as a teacher, except for they can't delete a class, but they can create assignments in there. They can delete their assignments, things like that. So they can do everything that you can do. They just can't delete the class or archive it. So after the students are joined, you'll notice that there is next to Katie, let's click on the hot dogs, Wayne, please. Okay, so we're missing something here that, let's go back to the gear again, the cog, and scroll down, please. We're missing a show deleted items grading. We're missing the piece where guardians are a part of the classroom. So Wayne, would you be able to share one of your classrooms that you've created so we can go into the invite guardians? So let's go to the cog there. And now let's scroll down. Yep, that's what we're missing right there. So everyone, let's go ahead and get into your cog and go to, and open up here, and you should see your class details, and then general. So the cog, and then general, scroll down to general. This is what I was missing before. You're going to want to turn on guardian summaries. That will be on. And then the other piece is, say no thanks for right now. And then the other piece is Meet. You're going to want to generate a Meet link there. I'm not sure why our other classroom doesn't have this, but you're going to want to generate that Meet link. And at this point, you're going to want to turn off the visible to students. This is where, when you have a Google Meet scheduled, you can go in here, turn it on, and then it's available for students immediately. And they just click on the Meet link, and you have your Meet. And when everyone is gone, you go back in here and you turn it off. And there is no way that they can go into another Google Meet. Students do not have access to create meets. They do not have access to join meets that they're not seeing. So this is just a little bit of a better safety feature for you to turn on and turn off. But with the Guardian, you're going to want to turn that on. And then let's go ahead and click on Save. And now let's go to People again. And now you see where you have Invite Guardians. You should be seeing Invite Guardians. As a district, we highly recommend that you invite guardians. The reason being is that was one of the major concerns parents had when they completed the survey in the spring about communication. They didn't know when assignments were due. They didn't have expectations. You definitely did a good job of letting students know. Students didn't always do a good job of getting into classroom or responding back. That's on them. But the concern that the parents had was that they didn't really have a good grasp on what the expectations were and when assignments were due and what assignments there were, etc. So we're just encouraging that you keep them in the loop.
Hey,
Student.
Robert,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
can I add one thing about the guardian summaries?
Sure.
It doesn't give them access the way a kid would see it. So it doesn't give them the ability to log in and see Google Classroom. It just emails them a summary of all of your posts once a week.
And
So
I think
yeah, so it's not like they're gonna see each day like what you posted in real time. It's not like the kid interface. It's just an email summary of what you posted. So just there is a big difference there between what they can see. So
correct. Good point. Very good point. I think they have an option of 2 different ways of being notified, whether it's weekly or just when it's due or something like that. I think I haven't been in there as a guardian, but my understanding is there's a couple of ways that they can choose. They can choose to opt out or receive notifications, and I think there's a couple of different notifications. Yeah. But at least it's their choice, and you have invited everyone as a teacher. You've invited all the guardians. You've done your job. Now it's up to them to say yes. But good point. Yes, parents do not have, or guardians don't have access to the classroom like a student would or like you do. So they don't actually have a Google Classroom. They just get notifications. Very good point. So, Wayne, Katie, anything more before we go into the assignment? Okay. So, Wayne, do you want to so here's your assignment for everyone. You're going to want to well, let's see. This was done at about 10 o'clock last night. So we don't have a Google Classroom that they can join. Yes, we do. So Wayne, can you put that code up? And participants, your job is to go into your main Google Classroom page. Wayne, you might want to drive that there. So go to the hamburgers on the top left and go to classes. And when you're with participants, you're going to click on the plus. And you will join a class. And Wayne's going to put the code up there that you're going to join. And you will be joining our Google Classroom practice class. Okay, so that's the code that you're going to want to put in there. And you will join. Katie, could you, there's a Google Doc in the teaching and learning. Could you assign that, or as a, could you assign that to everyone and participants that you'll go into the doc and there's a question in there? And so you're just going to find an open cell on that Google Doc and answer the questions that are in there, and you're going to place your name in that document as well. And Katie is called assignment 1, I think. Again, thank you everyone for being patient with us. We practiced yesterday and things went pretty well. And then we decided, oh, we should probably do this, we should probably do that. So we haven't been able to practice everything. So, but Katie's getting the document in there. Looks like everyone's in. Good question. So, Wayne, could you, here's the question. Where do we go to sign in the class? This is going fast. I agree, Angie. We'll try to keep you there. You're going to go to your main Google Classroom page, which you can either go to classroom.google.com, or you can click on the waffle, or you can, if you're in this view, you can go to the hamburger on the left and click on classes. You want to get to this page. This is the page that you want to get to. Okay. And then in the document, we're going to want to view the document. You want to view the document, Katie, and make sure we got people in. You guys are doing awesome. Yeah, so that's the document. It's called Section 1 Assignment. And that's what you're going to be filling out. You're muted, Katie.
I made a copy for each person. Was it just supposed to be one?
Well, you know what? A copy for each person is fine. They'll need to turn it in, but yeah.
Okay.
It was just be the one, but that's okay. You did good. And you should. So Wayne, do you want to show them where they would go to pick up their assignment? So in the stream, you should see a post. And so if you click on that post, it will take, yeah, go to the instructions and then click on the assignment. And that will open up the Google Doc. And so you're going to answer the question. Oh, I didn't give you the question, did I? So the question is, how many people planted a garden and what did you grow? One of the things I need to learn is how we play music in the background so it's not dead air. So Wayne, so could you go back to, so they need to turn in their assignment. So there should be a button on the top of the document that says turn in. And you're going to want to click on turn in. And then that will be turned in. And at this point, I will turn it over to Wayne, who's going to be presenting the second section. So he's going to get you through navigation. If you don't have time to finish the assignment, that's okay. You can do it at the end. And we'll have time for Q&A, and you'll be able to, if you have some questions, then we'll work through that. But yes, you can definitely fill those questions in later. Okay, so Wayne,
very good.
Take it away.
All right. Let me get my screen arranged here so I can do this. Sorry, one moment. All right. And window. Okay. So we're going to talk about navigation, which is in a way a little bit of a review, but that might be good. Let's see, and I think Katie is taking over on driving here. So you have the hamburger button on the top left. Looks like 3 patties stacked on top of each other. You'll find your classes. You'll find your calendar settings, things like that underneath the hamburger button. On the far right, you're going to find the hot dogs button, which is 3 dots above each other. Oh, sorry, jumped ahead. You'll also find the waffle over there, which is the 9 dots grid. You'll use that to navigate to any other Google app. If you move just to the right, you'll find the hot dog button, and that will give you options for that individual class. If you look closely at the bottom of each individual class, you're going to find the grade book, which looks like a little graph. And that will be kind of an advanced piece. If you're going to use the grade book, you don't have to, but Google Classroom does have a built-in grade book. And the final one is a folder on the bottom right of each class icon or tile. And that folder is where everything is stored that goes into that class. So if you post an assignment and send it out to each of the kids, it gets stored inside that folder. Now, that folder is also located in your Google Drive. So if you went to drive.google.com, that drive, or you found it on the waffle, Google Drive, it stores everything in there. You do not want to delete that folder because you will be deleting all the things out of your classroom. So Google Classroom uses Google Drive to store everything. So you can find things in that folder, but for the most part, you'll want to leave that folder alone inside your Google Drive. You are safe to access it here, though, through Google Classroom, because it's not going to let you throw things away. All right. Okay, we're going to go over to the hamburger button. We're going to click on the hamburger button on the top left. You're going to see a list of classes that you are teaching. You're going to see a calendar, and that will list all the assignments that you've given and their due dates. You will find a to-do or a review section, and that is for you to look through assignments. View assignments for all your classes, not just one, or a specific class if you want to filter it down. And it's arranged by due date, or you can do some other arranging as well. Okay, back under the hamburger button, you also have teaching. And these are the classes that you're either a teacher or co-teacher in. And the last section is enrolled, and that would be any class that you are a student in. And we do have some schools, the high school knows, they are using Classroom, I believe, to communicate with teachers. So in that case, the teacher's probably enrolled as a student instead of as a teacher in that class. All right, everybody got things turned in, it looks like. Robert's communicating with us. Excellent. Or somebody under Robert's name is communicating with us. All right, we're gonna now, we also have archive classes on the bottom of the hamburger button. If you go down to the archive classes, those are any class that you no longer need access to. It doesn't throw it away because you might want to pull an assignment out of there. You might want to pull or review something, but it does archive it and get it out of your everyday life. Good. And then on the very bottom is the global settings. And again, that was the great spot where you can turn off getting too much email or turn on certain things more specific. All right. Okay, we're actually going to jump into your individual class. And again, it'll be a bit of a review, but I think that will be okay. Once you're in that class, you do have a hamburger button on the top left. Again, you can navigate to another class if you're jumping around grading or looking for materials. You can get to the calendar, you can get to your home page that shows all the class tiles of all the classes you have. Okay, if we moved slightly to the right, we're going to find our four main topics. Our first one's stream. This is where you post announcements. It also posts in when you have an assignment. The kids often, or at least some of the kids, will get stuck on the stream section. I like the classwork section because I can organize it, but I do have kids that constantly just look at the stream because the last thing you posted goes to the top. Okay, if we move one to the right, we do have our classwork section. Classworks is going to allow you to have all of your assignments, all of your questions, materials will be posted in Classworks. You can drag and drop them from one topic to another. You can rearrange them if they come in out of order. And some people are even using a Today view so that the kids know right what to go to. Sometimes that helps. Okay, we'll move to people. People is where you find your co-teachers and your students who are in your class. You can add parent emails again, and this is where you turn on the guardian summaries. Okay, move one more to the right, and we have grades. Okay, we're not going to go in depth on grades today, but it is able to grade, and in some cases, there are ways to get automatic grades put in. It does not tie yet to Skyward or some other grade book in most cases, but I do hear that they are working on that. All right. Also remember, you have, oh, sorry, missed one. And then remember your waffle is next. On your waffle, you'll find any other Google product that you need. If you need to create an assignment in Docs, run over to your waffle, create it, and then you can move back and assign that particular worksheet you made. You're good to go. All right. If we look at the title, remember this is where one of the easiest spots to get to our class code. I tend to have kids enter their class code because I don't want to go through and find each one of them. Does take a little while though. You always have somebody who doesn't get on that list, and it takes a little while to get that mediated out. And you'll also find the class link button there, and that will allow you to set up a Google Meet live session, and so that you can do a little video conferencing with your classes. Okay. Let's see, upcoming and to do. If you look on the left side, you should see the upcoming to-do list. Shows assignments that are going to be due soon. Stream post, post class announcements here. Don't post class announcements, or don't post class assignments or work, use classwork for that. All right. Reuse post. Excellent. Okay, so Denise came up with that they're not doing the turn-in button. Did I get that right?
Well, Wayne, I think the question is about when you would use announcements versus assignments.
Oh,
and
thank
the
you.
difference between the two. And I was just talking in the chat box about basically an announcement is when you want to, give a notice, or you can announce. I don't personally use the assignment page only because when we were in normal school, it was all paper, so they were going to turn it in anyway, physically. So if you want them to turn something in digitally, then you would want to use the assignment thing. If you just want to say, hey, go to IXL and do this lesson, I would use the announcement one because you're going to go to IXL to check their score anyway. So it's one less step. So there's different ways to navigate that, but The assignment page is if you want them to really physically turn something in digitally through Google Classroom. The announcement is for everything else kind of in that area. If that makes sense.
Excellent. Yes. Matter of fact, I had similar issues. If kids did work and they didn't hit the turn in, then parents got very concerned that work wasn't done. So by using, if it's something that's not going to be required turned in, then using the announcement section is great.
Hey, so what I also did in my classroom, and here's an example of it. If I gave them an assignment, it needed to be turned in. But every morning for doing like the character strong and everything we're doing, I would give them just a morning announcement. And let me see if I can find an example that they had to respond to it. It's right here. So to where I would just post a picture of, hey, here's a simple question. Answer it, and so in the comments they would go back and answer it. I don't need that turned in. I just wanted them to be involved in the classroom, so that would be my announcements versus having an actual assignment that's on rattlesnakes. Read it, turn it in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good point. And I think with Google Classroom in general, you will spend a little time tweaking. I was all excited. I got to annotate on kids' assignments, and I discovered to annotate 150 kids, which would be one assignment. It was about 8 hours, and so I had to change that. That wasn't workable, as you know. And so I ended up taking a little bit different philosophy. So with Google Classroom, it is a tool. It has its shortcomings, and it has its great benefits. And so just little tweaks like that. If you don't want a response, then announcements. If you do need a digital turned in, then classwork and an assignment or a question or those kind of things work great. Okay. Jumping ahead. Let's see, I think we talked about reuse posts. That becomes extremely useful for teachers who've been in classroom a little while. Make sure that you are going back and pulling up the things you used last year, last quarter, or you want to take something from last week and modify it. Reuse post saves you a lot of time. It allows you to access an old assignment, and then you can make some changes after you've accessed it instead of it just going away. All right, here's your assignment at this point in time. In Google Classroom, we would like you to, hopefully you'll see a Google form. If it's not there, it'll be there shortly. Shared with you, open it and complete the form. Excellent. And then in just a minute or two, Katie will take over talking about classwork and assignments.
I'm going to watch and see when they're turned in, and then I'll kind of know when to start.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that will give me a clue onto when I change screens. So Katie, Wayne, Stephanie, I know that there is a way to clean up the stream to where students only see announcements. They don't see everything that's there, that's being posted. Do you remember how that's done? And I'm wondering if we're having limited access to some of the features with our Google Classroom. I'm not sure why, but I'm not seeing it being the same as one of our normal classrooms. So it could be something that's missing again off of this one.
There is a setting where you just set what it posts. So like I use the classwork tab exclusively. Like I put all of my assignments in one place because I don't like a really cluttered feed. And so when you put stuff in the classwork tab, I just made a little, on one of the settings, I just put don't post to stream. So like wherever you see that, don't post a stream, just click that. It pops up in random places depending on what you're doing. And that way only announcements go to the stream.
Good tip. Thank you.
So do we look good to start? We're missing 5 assignments. 3. So classworks and assignments. Again, I've been using Google Classroom for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now in my classroom. There's all kinds of things that you can do with it. You at the top are going to be familiar if you want to, again, post just an announcement or if you want to post classwork. If you get into classwork, there's going to be a create button. That create button is going to allow you to create an assignment, quizzes, questions, materials for the classroom, or topics. You can also start a Google Meet for your classroom. So the Meet button's on there to make it convenient. Again, if you want to start a class meetup for everybody, and also your Google Calendar. Google did a nice job of adding these buttons in many places to make it convenient for you guys. The Google Class Drive folder is also under the tab on the top, so you can find that, where you can automatically organize your classes and assignments in there. It is recommended to create topics to organize your classwork, and this is why, and it's going to look different for every class and grade level, but I teach 4th grade, so I teach science and Washington State history and reading and writing and grammar and all of those different things. So for my students to find an assignment, if I add the topics and add, hey, here's science, Washington State history, they can kind of scroll down if they know they're missing a Washington State history assignment and find it easier. So I would recommend you use topics to help students kind of find their work to make sure that it gets done. You can also do it by the day or the week on what's due. Some teachers, like I said, create a today topic at the top, and that's the day's assignments, and then they'll have finished ones down at the bottom where they'll add it to it. So you can reorganize them however you want throughout there. You need to just click the hot dogs next to them, and then you can rename them, delete them, copy them. You can also click and drag it and move your items up and down to kind of organize them. When you're creating an assignment or quiz, make sure students know to mark it as done. I know this question already came up, but it kind of helps you know, and especially with distant learning, when I was doing it in the spring, I would give journal prompts, and I would only look at the ones that were turned in. So I had to keep reminding students, hey, mark it as done, because if you have 50, 60 kids in a class, you don't want to check each assignment if it's not completed. It's nice when they're all organized in one section and you can just go through and review the ones that are in the done section. You can assign videos to watch or activities, all different kinds of things. You can create a quiz. I know we just completed a Google form. So there's all different kinds of formats you can get into. You can create a blank one or choose one that you've found online. Make sure grade importing, if you choose to have your grades on here, make sure it's turned on. The quiz grades will automatically import into this grade book. It's not hooked up to Skyward yet. And then if you are gonna attach a quiz on there, you can't attach a video with it. They have to be 2 separate assignments. Otherwise, it will not import the grades. So that is one glitch right now, and we're hoping that they will work on it and fix it. So make sure you assign a video and then a quiz afterwards, but don't put them together. Speaking of that, when you do assign something, you can assign multiple resources. So if I wanted them to watch a video and then read an article and then write me a little essay up, I can attach a video from YouTube. I can attach that link. I can attach a PDF document that I want them to read, and then also assign them a Google document with the directions that say what they need to do. So that's all under that as well. You can ask a question. You can ask a short answer or multiple choice question on here. After you post a question, you can track the students who've actually responded to it on the stream page. On all these assignments, you can also draft something. If you haven't finished it and you just want to kind of prep it, you can just draft it and save it until later. Posting materials. I use this a lot, and that's one of my topics that I put on there is actually named materials, and that's where I put on all the links that we use often. So I'll post IXL on there. I'll put Epic Books on there, Scholastic News, Super Science, anything that you're going to have the kids refer to frequently. I label a topic as materials, and then I also put them in as materials so they know that they're going to use them frequently throughout the year. And we talked about reusing posts. Reusing posts is amazing because, again, you like certain assignments that went well. You can grab them from previous years and add them into a new class. On top of that, if you're teaching multiple classes and you want to assign an assignment, you can also assign it to multiple classes at the same time. To create an assignment, you're going to click assignment. Make sure you give it a title that doesn't just make sense to you, but also to the students. A lot of times we want to put the date on there, what the date was that you created the assignment. So September 2nd, 2020, and then say what it is. The instructions are going to be important. What do you expect the students to do? This preps them before they even open the assignment to see what it is. It gets their minds going towards it. At the bottom, you can see a little paperclip, and the paperclip's going to be, hey, do you have a PDF or something that you want to add to your assignment, or do you want the students to create their own? So you can actually attach a blank Google document for them to type up their own essay. So this gives you a little bit of a freedom as a teacher to be able to do. You can add files or multiple files as long as you don't want it to be graded. And then we talked about this earlier when I attached that first assignment. I made a copy for everybody. That means each person gets their own assignment. If you click that they can view the file, all they can do is look at it. And if you click that they can edit the file, all 50 of your kids or 25 or however many kids are all working on that one document, which can get pretty messy. So make sure you're purposeful in deciding, do you want students to view it where they can't do anything with it? Do you want them to each have a copy with their name on it? Or do you want all of them to work on one document? So that's all going to be under what you want the student choice to be. You can also select again, how many classes you want to assign to. So if you're teaching 3 classes of English and you want to assign the same assignment, you can go through and select which classes. So there's going to be an option and a check box to see what classes you want to assign to it. So that way you're not doing 3 times the work on each class. You can use the student drop-down menu on the right to assign differentiated assignments that will only be for certain students. So I know ReadWorks. Yeah. So on ReadWorks, they have different levels of reading passages. all on the same reading, but some are simpler for students that are still trying to grasp it. So you can take some of those simpler readings and assign it to just a few students and assign different readings for everybody else. And the students won't know that they got a different passage, but it'll be individualized to them. So you can also choose special assignments for kids. Points, and I know later on, Robert's going to hold a more in-depth classroom training. If you choose to use the gradebook, it will allow you to mark how many points each assignment's worth. It's automatically worth 100 points by default unless you change it. And then once students turn it in and you grade it, it will automatically go to that gradebook. The due date. I, a lot of times, didn't set due dates in my classroom because I didn't need to. But if you wanted, like, all your work, you put it on a Monday and you want it due by Friday, you can actually set the due date on your assignment for the kids to kind of know when things are due. That's the other thing. If you don't set a due date on the upcoming events on the stream, they won't see it. So some students won't think that they have anything to work on when they actually do have work that's not turned in. So be careful with that. Putting it under a topic, if it's a science topic, great, put it under science or whatever topic you have it labeled as. You cannot put it under multiple topics, so you're going to have to make your best choice. Even if it's a reading piece about whales, you're going to have to decide, well, is it a reading grade or is it a science grade? You just need to know work is marked missing or turned in late as soon as the due date and time comes, but students still can turn in the work. It will just be notified as being late. Wayne, do you want to show them where you click to assign to more than one class? So like if I had an English assignment and I had 3 English classes, I would select which ones. I think we're working on that. Let's say you're creating an assignment. There you go. So you're going to click that class, and right here you can assign it to however many classes that you want. So if you have 6 different classes getting all the same assignment, you only have to post it once, and it's going to go to each one of those classrooms to all of those students. You don't have to go to each class and then reassign and reassign and reassign. So it does save a lot of time, which is amazing. Again, reusing old posts is amazing because, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there and it's already created. There is rubrics on here. You can create a rubric, reuse, share, view, grade rubrics for individual assignments. You can give feedback with scored or unscored rubrics. If a rubric is scored, students see their scores when you return their assignments. Again, you have a choice under any. Robert will get into the grade book more later, but again, that's another piece that the students will automatically get their feedback once you turn it in. So you can attach rubrics for students to see their work. Originality reports. See, again, plagiarism is a big thing. And I know when I was doing my college classes, they made you check your originality reports. Again, how much of your work is original to you? They actually have one where you can see how much of their document is authentic versus grabbing it from different websites and just throwing it together. So that's an important piece as well, especially to kind of teach kids how to correctly write. When you're finished, you're going to look for the assign button, and then you can assign it now. You can schedule it, or you can save the draft if you're not finished and you need to find a work assignment or quiz that you want to attach later. You can save the draft and work on it later. The cool piece with scheduling, I know that when we were in the spring, I was scheduling my week of assignments on Monday. So I knew that at 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday, this assignment was going to post. And so I could get a lot of my work done then. So that way I was free to more answer questions and meet with students. And I wasn't so worried about, oh, did I post this on time? So that scheduling is huge and kind of a time saver for you. So you can almost do it on the weekend and be ready for the rest of your teaching during the week. So the student view is going to be a little bit different. Big question, student sample account versus Google Classroom creation by a teacher. Student sample will not have Hello ID. Am I talking about this right, Robert? I know that we want to get a sample account for a couple for each building. So that way teachers, when they assign work, they can also look at it and see what the students are seeing. So that way you can help them with questions and seeing if your links work and everything else.
Yeah, so I have a question for everyone who's participating a little bit later about that. But yes, we are looking at possibly doing that.
Okay. If you're like me, I just add my daughter and then get into her account and look at it. But the student view is going to be pretty similar. You can still see the assignments. They just won't see who's turned it in or hasn't turned it in on the student view, but it's very similar. Robert will be getting us information out about those sample students, which would be awesome if you could get them. Student stream will look just like ours besides the done and undone. Classwork, their classwork tab will look similar as well. It will say view your work at the top where they can see their assignments and the grades if you choose to give them grades. Students' assignments. Students open an assignment and see the instruction and any linked work below the title and teacher name. Class comments are then below that. Point values are in the middle. The work is on the right side. They can also send private comments to you about their work or if they have questions, which is very helpful because then you can respond to them. Again, the importance of the turn-in button. They will have turn-in buttons next to their work. And even if they open a Google document, there will be a turn-in button on their Google document if it's linked to Google Classroom. That piece is cool because then they don't have to go back into Google Classroom to turn in an assignment. So again, I would just be vigilant about at the beginning of the year, really hitting, hey, make sure you turn in your assignments when you're done with them. And we talked about making a copy for each kid. So on your assignments, do you want them all on one document or do you want individual documents? If you don't add any work, so let's say you give them a question, they can open their own Google document on their own and just create a Google Doc or a Google Slides to answer your work or your assignment. So you've got to be decisive on what you want. Do you want to provide it for them or do you want them to create it on their own? I know at the younger grades, I did a lot of the creating because if you put instructions on your assignment and then by the time they get to their assignment, they forgot what the directions were. So I knew I needed to create a Google document and add the directions in there. Hey, after you read this article on whales, I want you to respond on whatever the question or assignment was. It's hard for them to sometimes flip back and forth from Google Classroom in their document. So I would again put, for the younger grades, the instructions on there.
And for the older ones, you want to start that way with a ready-made template, and then you want to train them because your life gets easier if you can just say, make this.
Yeah. I believe it. If Google Classroom does not offer enough options or organization for your class materials, you can use your Google website or Google site in conjunction with Classroom to organize your materials, and that gets a little more advanced. Be sure to link your Google Classroom assignments from your teacher website. There's also going to be more information about that as well. So now it looks like we're getting to a new assignment in the Google Classroom training classroom that we had you sign in as a student. You will see a Google form shared with you. I guess it's time to open it up and complete it. And it's assignment number 3, I believe.
And like Katie has said, there will be a couple more Google Classroom. We're going to dive deeper into Classroom. Some of it will be on the grading piece. Some of it will be more in depth on the rubrics, and we'll go through all of that. So, but that's going to be at a different time. We're still working on the rest of the schedules while we're seeing how many people are turning in. I'll just give you out there that we'll be coming up with, there will be just an overview video being sent out tomorrow. We've got a Seesaw training coming up. We've got Remind training. Those two are kind of held up until our secretaries and counselors are back in the building. They have to turn on the schedule feature. Especially for Remind. Seesaw, you can probably do some things. I don't think some people might be here for Seesaw too, but you can probably do some things in Seesaw, but for Remind, it's a whole lot easier if you have classes in your Remind account so that you can actually work in it. Stephanie and I are going to be working on that. We're just waiting on that button to be pushed in Skyward so that your classes are populated in the Remind app. We have we've got Flipgrid, Nearpod, and Kahoot. We're working on scheduling that as well. Those 3 are going to be on at the same time, trying to keep things to an hour so that, and I know we're a little bit over an hour, but we got started a little bit late. And again, this is our first time through this, so thank you for bearing with us as we're going through our growing pains.
Robert, would these classes be put on the school calendar so people can see them?
Good question. So yes, there is a professional development, staff development calendar. I will get that link to you. Let's see, and I will post it in the chat. And then yes, they will be posted on there as soon as they're scheduled. We'll post them, and I'll still send an email out to everybody. And I'm sorry if you get a lot of emails from me. I'm just trying to give you as much information to help you navigate through this, and with all the changes that are being made. So there's a good thing and a bad thing about Google. The good thing is it's fluid, and it's constantly upgrading and updating and changing. The bad thing is that it's fluid, and they're constantly updating and upgrading and changing. And we've seen it in a session. Wayne and I were at a conference, and we sat ready for the Google presentation, and the presenter started to show what they had thought that they were going to be ready for, and they had practiced it the night before. Google updated, and basically in the middle of that presentation, the update happened, and so their presentation was kind of sidetracked. So unfortunately, that's why I'm trying to get you up to date. How do we get clock hours for this? And if we can't make it during a live showing, but watch later. So good question, Denise. So the clock hours are going to be associated with the assignments. The assignments will be basically, we're going to take whatever we've just learned and we'll try to apply it as best we can. And then the final assignment, like in this one, will be you're going to share the classroom with us, and there's an assignment with that. And then once that's done, Tricia will go ahead and turn those in. You can watch this asynchronously. So, if you've got to leave now, you can always watch the rest of it later and do the final project later. We will be going in and unconnecting ourselves as co-teachers, and that will keep things so that we see as people asynchronously watch and they're joined to the classroom, we will be able to see that they're in there. So Denise, if you go in later on and it's completed, we'll just keep on going. If we see that there's like one or two things that are missing, I'll probably shoot you an email saying, hey, did you forget about this? Just so that we can, get you the best possible opportunity to get those clock hours. But good question, thank you. So at this point, oh, thank you, Robert, for putting in the calendar. So at this point, I think we're turning it back over to Wayne. Yep, Wayne, you're going to take it away. Thanks.
Okay, this should be a couple of thoughts on communicating. These be kind of a quick idea, but remember that in our digital world, communication is crucial as we go into distance learning and hopefully soon blended learning environments. We want to remind you to be timely, be specific, and be actionable in your communication. The sooner you get that feedback back to the students, the more they can do with that and the more they're engaged. The more specific you are, the better they can improve, and make sure that your communication is something that they can run with, something that they can do to better their both their work and their understanding. And my computer is stuck. There we go. Ways to give feedback. Inside Google Classroom, you can leave private comments on an assignment and in a couple of different places. So use those private comments, and I know the students, there's certain students that are pretty good about using that too. Sometimes for lack of wanting to look something up themselves. Also remember that you can put a comment on any assignment. By highlighting something, there's a comment button, and you can add to it. If you add a plus with the student's email address, it will get emailed to them as well. And then think about adding links to articles and YouTube videos. I know in my class last year, that was part of their assignment, was that they had to find the YouTube video that had to do with the instruction that they were working on. So don't be afraid to use those options as well. They can be extremely helpful. Subbing in math class at the high school, lots of kids use YouTube videos to help their learning. So it was kind of interesting to watch. Post announcements to the stream. We talked about that early on. They'll receive an email when that new announcement comes out. Communicate with students about their individual assignments, either via email or those private comments. while you're grading it. To email students or guardians, we're going to have you go to the People tab on your Google Classroom. Click the check mark next at the top under Students, and then click Action and Email. That would email all your students. You can also just select some students to email by either turning them off or turning it back on one at a time. And click Email All Guardians to place an email to your parents. Again, with our new learning, we're really encouraging you to get those parent emails in there. And then if you click the hot dog button on the right, you can email an individual student just from that hot dog more information button. Inviting guardians will allow them to get an email summary in the week. We talked about that. And they get some choice on how they want that to look. And then it will also include the missing work. I don't think we mentioned that. Upcoming work and class activities. Okay, if you click on a student's name to view you can view the student's work. The default view shows you all their assignments. All right. You can choose specifics by clicking on turned in or returned or missing when that's applicable. And that's a little bit about communicating. Again, using Google Classroom hopefully can cut down a little bit of our workload when it comes to communicating with parents, which is becoming increasingly more necessary in our current situation. And we are going to bring the whole panel in here and give you a little more information and also entertain questions.
So with Google Classroom, one of the advantages of Google, again, is that if you have an iPad or a tablet, Google Classroom is available on that. So, or on your phone, you can pretty much do everything that you can do on the computer. There are some limitations to it that I have found, but overall, the app definitely is a good, quick way. You forget to click on that assign button, and you're at home or you're in the grocery store, and so you can pull out the phone, move to it, and click on assign, and you don't have to worry about going back to school or going home, or so it's with you. Allows you to mark up the students, especially on like the iPad or the tablet. Works great with the Apple Pencil if you have an iPad, the Pro or the Pencil. But it does look a little bit different, like I say. But Katie has a good what she experienced with the app.
Oh yeah, I put it on my phone, and it's really nice because then anytime a student responds to, let's say, my morning message or whichever, or if I posted a video, it almost comes like a text message, so it's an alert on my phone, and I can quickly check, oh, okay, what it is, make sure it's appropriate for those of us that are wondering what kids are going to post. That way you can kind of handle it right away. But I never used it for grading or anything else. Mine was just more, hey, did a student have a question that I can answer right away? Can I respond to them? Can I don't know, just the short pieces. Because I know, Wayne, you said that you tried to grade on there and it took forever.
Yeah, and it depends on what your focus is and how important the assignment is. But it does create a PDF, and then you can mark up right on the PDF. The problem being is, even though it's silly, each PDF to load is 20, 30 seconds. and then you're scanning through, and pretty much soon, even if you're trying to go quickly, your 3 or 4 minutes of paper times 150 makes a very long assignment. So I had to rework it, and I didn't end up using the pencil for that, but I did still grade. I just was able to load multiple assignments at once using the computer, and I would type comments in.
Excellent. Also know that Google Classroom integrates with a lot of other programs. Remind is one of them, but like Screencastify, Newzilla, Epic, Flipgrid, Typing Club, all of those can be, you can assign, you can create an assignment in those devices and then post it into Classroom. So, but you need to make sure that you are signed into Google in order for that to happen. So when you're asked to sign into Newzilla or whatever, you click on the sign in using Google, and that feature then becomes part of it because it is linking all of the Google options. We've got some good questions come in. We're going to go ahead and answer those in just a minute. The other integration piece is that some programs, again, like Typing Club, you create the class in Typing Club. You can import from Google Classroom all of your students, so you don't have to give them a code. You don't have to enter them. It just imports them from Google Classroom. So there are some of those that are featured as well. There's a link on your slide deck for Common Sense Privacy Program. If you're thinking of using some tools, I would click that link and run that tool through Common Sense. It's an organization. They don't have any ties to anybody, so there's no money coming into their pocket from other sources, but they really care more about our kids' safety. There are some tools that I've looked at that their rating is 60% safe for kids, which is a fail or a warning from them. There are some that are 80, 90% safe, which they recommend then that you could use those. Some of the warnings are that if a student logs into a specific tool, that third-party vendors could capture that information, and now all of a sudden they get spam or whatever, which our filter blocks for our students, but it's still their information is being put out there. Some companies won't say whether they do or do not sell their information to third parties. That puts a ding on in Common Sense's notes that they don't trust them at that point. If they're not going to answer that question, they're not going to put that, they're not going to really recommend them. So that's just a good safety feature. There are some teacher resources in the slide deck as well. YouTube doesn't have a link because you just go to YouTube and do a search, and YouTube is wonderful. There's some student family resources. There's some student guides on the students, how they would navigate around. There's also a parents and guardian guide. There's another student one, step-by-step, it's coming, and I will link it there as well as post it on our professional development site. There is a feature, and it needs to be noted that it is a true feature. In Google Sites, in Classroom, down in the bottom left, there's a little question mark. And in like Google Docs, Sheets, or Slides, etc. Yeah, down in the bottom left, you click on that. There's one that says Report Issues or Request Feature. That's true for every tool. Again, it may not be in a question mark. It might be in under Tools, like in Google Docs. It's under Tools and Report or Request Feature. Go ahead and fill that out. You don't have to include a screenshot. If you want to see something, a feature added to whatever tool you want, They do read them. The more feedback that they get for a specific item, literally the higher it goes in their priority list, and that's what they work off of. And I've been told by more than one Google employee, they do read those almost hourly. So they are very vetted to make sure that they give education, our teachers, the best ability to do what they need to do. So that they are there for that. So at this point, we'll entertain questions. I know that there was one question that I wanted to highlight up here. Where was it? The archiving question was asked, how do we archive our old classes? So my question, Stephanie, Wayne, Katie, what's the difference between archiving and deleting them? Why would you archive one and not just delete it just to get it out of there?
I would say to be able to use your work from them or pull up. For me, I do student-led conferences and they have to create a slideshow. I will go back and pull previous slideshows to give as examples. So you have all that work so you can kind of base where your students are at. Where did you kind of mess up on your teaching? I don't know. For me, it was more of a teaching tool. Hey, what did I do well? What do I need to improve on for my instruction? That's why I keep all my classes in archive. It doesn't stop you from pulling work or anything, but.
And I'm not sure if they give you an option anymore to delete, do they?
I don't know. I'm looking.
But at any rate, I have had an issue where I needed to go back in after a quarter was over and get information out of it. And I even have a little bit of problem with students deleting themselves out of a class and they still wanted to get that information, and sometimes it was harder to get to. But
yeah, you can't delete them. It's just archive. But if you do archive a class and you need to bring it back, you can do that. You can move it back to the main page.
See, there's Google updating again. Last time I was able to delete, which was I think last year, a year before, I was able to delete, but now they removed that. Good job. Another question was, anyone know if CMS kids, and I'm going to say for all kids, access their school emails? Kids have told me they can't.
Yeah, they just have to sign in through their school account. So it has to be last name, first initial, year they're graduating, at Chehalis schools with an S .org. But yeah, you can do it at home. They just have to sign in.
We have had a recent glitch we just heard about, that if a kid was moving from one school to the next, the accounts will be fixed, but they're still working on that.
Okay. I know one teacher said that Cheryl said that she has or teaches the kids how to actually do that at home. I do that as well. I think that helps a lot to just be like, hey, this is how you get in at home if you're going to use a different computer. But I think Stephanie said we're giving each kid their own Chromebook. That should help eliminate that problem.
Yeah, I know at least for 6-12, we're going to be fully one-to-one. Mm-hmm. So I would safely assume that the majority of the first week of school will be around training and getting kids logged in. I know a lot of kids, especially kids with hyphenated names, multiple last names, have a lot of issues. New kids to the districts are going to have a lot of issues. So there'll be a lot of troubleshooting in the beginning, but I think having everybody have a school issued Chromebook will eliminate a lot of that login issue because it'll already be set up that way.
So it's going to be 412. My understanding is 412.
Okay.
And Casey, they're actively working right now. So every student and every parent will be given a QR code, as well as the teacher. So if the student says, well, I don't have my QR code, well, the parent does. And they're either little index cards, index cards or business card size. And I think teachers are getting business card. I think that's what Casey said. But all they got to do on their Chromebooks is hold up their QR code. They don't have to worry about their login and password because it will read the QR code. I know we pushed for grades 3 on up to be able to log in and kind of get away from the QR codes, but this has kind of forced us to go back to that, which is fine. Again, there's no reason why a student cannot log in using the Chromebook from school, and they should be able to log in on their personal devices at home as long as they use their school login, their email. So something new that's coming down.
And I believe we're losing generic passwords for
Yes.
345.
For from 312, there are no more generic passwords. Well, there weren't for actually, I think it's K5. There won't be any generic passwords, but definitely the one-on-ones for student safety. As an example, one of Stephanie's parents, middle school parent, they could, if we had the same passwords like what we've done in the past with the elementaries, they could log into an elementary student's account, or their students could log into their account and mess it up. And so for security purposes, it has to be that elementaries that are going one-to-one will have unique login or unique passwords, thus the QR code.
I will say the only login issue I had in the spring was with Zoom. And I think that was just more of a nature of it happened so rapidly that a lot of kids were not able to log in from their school account to Zoom because it was blocked. I think it was just kind of a safety feature that just didn't quite get updated in multiple places. So a lot of those kids did have to log out and log in with their personal account to get into Zoom. I'm thinking most of that's gotten fixed now, but I think that was just the nature of the chaos that was the springtime. So
awesome. So are there any other questions that we can answer? I know that we said that we were going to do docs and sheets. It looks like we've got 18 minutes. So I'm going to ditch sheets, and we can just move right into docs, and we can do a Kickstart. That's what it's called, Kickstart. On that, if everyone's good with that, everyone okay with that? Okay. So I'm gonna, where's my ad? I want to go there. Okay, and Katie, you're gonna have to remind me again how offline, how I show my slide deck and still get to see the video, because
when you share your screen, you're just going to share not just your entire screen, but you're going to share the
tab.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get, that's right. So I'm going to move out of there. I'm going to share and Chrome tab. Google Docs. Google Docs. There we go. There we go. Now I see it. Okay. So well, where's that coming from? Oh. Somebody in YouTube was talking, not our YouTube, but a one that was on the website already. So anyway, so what we're going to do is get through the Kickstart, and basically what we want to do is cover what docs can do. It's going to be very basic on what we're going over. Many of you have already been in docs, but some of you haven't. Basically, we'll do a level up later on, but the cool thing about docs is, your documents are wherever you go. It's It's the Google. So it's on your phone, it's wherever you, as long as you log in with your account. And you have to make sure that you're logged into your school account, and then you can get there. Everyone can work in the document at the same time. Changes are automatically saved. So things like that. So what I want to do is go into, stop that, and I'm going to go actually, Wayne, do you want to go into actually go into a Google Doc, create a Google Doc? If you could drive while we're going over this. I lost me. Oh, there I am. Thank you. Again, this is like first day. So I lost my docs. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in there, basically what we want to do is just kind of go over some new stuff. So there's 3 ways to get into Docs. There's 2 ways that we were talked about before for the others. One is docs.google.com. One is the waffle. And then a new way, and this is quick and easy, and this is again true for most of the other docs, is docs.new. If you type in docs.new, then it just creates a new document for you. So you don't have to go into your waffle. You don't have to go find a place to get into your docs, excuse me, to create it. Docs.new, sheets.new, slides.new. It will create that document for you quickly. The first thing I would do, I always try to do, is change the title. It's a little bit easier to know where things are if you don't have tons of untitled documents. So change the title to, we're going to call this Ben Franklin. And I need to make this a little bit bigger here. Here we go. And if you notice, it automatically saved. Let's go to the sharing piece. And it's loading. The reason I'm taking you here is because it's kind of a new feature again. They've kind of changed it a little bit. The window is you still have all the same functionality. That's where you would still put your share person in, the person that you're going to share with. It's still going to be at the top. So when they start, it should auto-populate. And so when you select someone, you have options on the right to either give them editing, viewing, or commenting. And commenting now is purely, that's all they can do. They can view it, and then they can make a comment. So you might want some to just view it. Anyway. So the other option underneath is to notify. You can choose to notify the participant, and you can give them a message, or you don't have to notify them, and it just kind of, goes secretly behind them into their shared drive.
By the way, if you're in elementary or middle school, when that button is turned on, the kids will get an error message because they can't share with each other. They can share with each other, they can't notify each other because the email restriction.
Yep. Okay, so we'll get back into that document. A cool tool is up on the top right. There's that little gear. And click on that, and you'll have some more options. Editors can change permissions. So if Wayne is giving me editing rights, I also have the rights to change everyone else's permissions, share with other people, things like that. By unchecking that, all I can do is edit that document. I can't change it. I can't share it out. I can't change permissions. So that's all I can do. The other piece is with the viewers and the commenters, that they can't download, print, or copy. So they just view it and make comments. So that's a new feature that many people aren't aware of. Let's see. If we're done with that, we'll go down to go ahead. Yeah, we'll go ahead and back into the share again. There should be a underneath. There it is, the get link. So if you're going to share that link with somebody, you can copy that link to the right. Yep. And then you can put that link in a Google Classroom and an announcement. You can post it on a tweet, or whatever you want to do with that. But notice that it also says restricted to the left. You want to change that if you're going to be sharing it out. So go ahead and click on the change. Yep. And so now anyone in the district can, and again, you have the option to view it or edit it. And so that kind of still keeps it private within the district. To anybody with the link, it becomes public. And so literally you can send it out to family and friends. Again, you can change from viewer to commenter to editor. By default, it is viewer. So anytime you send out that link, it's going to be a view only. So that is the default. Let's see what else we have in there. Let's go to the body of the document. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. So Wayne, we're going to do a research paper, and so we're going to do it on Ben Franklin, obviously, and we're going to just put down that Ben Franklin was born in Boston. So let's go ahead and type in that Ben Franklin was born in Boston. I don't know if everyone knew that or not, but he was. Okay, now we're going to go down to another cool tool. And down in the bottom right is a little bit of star. That is the Explore tool. You may need to move your, or hide that. There you go. Yeah, the little Explore, if you hover over it, it says Explore. Click on that Explore button. This is a tool that I think a lot of our students aren't aware of. So if you notice, it automatically gives you, because we're starting with a topic sentence, that it gives you about Boston and Ben Franklin. So it gives you some topics there. It gives you a couple of images, and I'm going to call this the level 1 information, level 1 search. But we're going to level it up some, so we're going to go to level 2. And so let's go ahead in that little search tab at the top where it says search. Go ahead and type in Benjamin Franklin. And then let's look at the results, see if they've changed. And it will autocorrect. I mean, it will make the correction for you, which is another feature in Google. Notice now, yes, it did change a little bit. We have 3 tabs. One is the web, and almost all searches will start with the Wikipedia. Great place to start your research, because that'll give you more resources, but it'll also give you more results as you scroll down. There's biography, there's the ushistory.org, and a whole bunch of other options that you can go to. Next to it, next to the web, are images. And that's going to give you images, and we'll come back to images in a minute. And then there's Drive, and that will search everything in your Drive that you have that's basically on Ben Franklin. because that's what you did the search for. So with Ben Franklin, there's the information that from your drive. So let's go back to the web real quick, and let's put our cursor behind Franklin on the body of the document. So behind Franklin. There we go. And let's scroll down in our search, our research. And we're going to look for the one that was the history one. Keep going down. Yeah, the U.S. history. So if you notice, there's a little quote to the right of that box. Click on that. And what that does is it goes ahead. It went ahead and it cited that for us, automatically cited. So you can either have students citing, or that can be just a placeholder of, this is what I want information on that. So so it does the citation for you. If you don't like the citation the way that it is, we can change it from MLA to APA or Chicago, and we'll show you that in a minute, but they can be changed. So we now have our citation in there. And now let's go over to the image. Let's see. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to the web. I'm going to take a little bit of a rabbit trail here. So your students are doing research, and you're in fourth grade, and you're doing your research on farm animals. And so we're going to go ahead and remove Ben Franklin. And one of the farm animals that we want to do a search for are chicks. Now, chicks can have a double meaning. So you ready to try this, Wayne? Go ahead and give it a try. Let's go ahead and hit return. Let's see what happens. Now let's go over to images. People, cover your eyes because you're going to see, oh, fuzzy animals. Keep going down. Fuzzy animals. Oh, all we see are fuzzy animals. The reason I like Explore so much, and Wayne, I think you've had some experiences, I won't call them good, of some searches. This filters out a lot of the questionable. Doesn't mean that some things won't get through, but it does limit more. Now, it will also limit, because these are copyrighted pictures and GIFs and that. These are free to use. When you do a Google search, normally you get all sorts of copywritten material. That's not necessarily free to use. While we're in education, we have a little bit of a gray area, but this definitely will help with keeping our kids safe. So wanted to bring that to your attention. Let's see, where are we? So let's go back to searching for Ben Franklin, or Benjamin Franklin, I mean. And when we get the results again, let's go to web. And let's scroll down a little bit to where it says the web results. Oh, back up a little. And then there's some hot dogs to the right. Click on that. That's where you can change your citation to APA or Chicago. These are some cool features that we typically don't see or know about. So let's go back to images. We're just going to we're going to click on a picture. There's two ways to put a picture in. One is, you see the plus in the top right. You can click on that, and voila, your picture will appear. Oh, voila, the picture will appear. There we go. And it's going to be big. Let's go ahead and delete that. The second way to get the picture over is simply drag it over. Either way will work. Both of them will put that in a large picture. My recommendation is whenever you have those pictures that are large, if you click on it once, you'll see the dots in the corners in the center. Grab one from the corner and then make it smaller, and that will keep everything proportional. If you want Franklin to lose weight a little bit, then you grab them from one of the sides or the top, and they lose weight. That's not really what we want our kids doing. We want them to go ahead and grab from the corner and make it where it's a little bit, everything is proportional. So in there, you notice there we go. You notice underneath there's 3 icons. There's one icon that is for, what's the one to the left? Inline. The one to the center is wrap text, and then the one to the right is break text. Inline, you can move it up and down. You can move that image, but it's only going to go to where a space is or where you're specifically putting it. So if you put it in between the B and the E and the N, or the B and the E, it's going to go there. If you click on wrap text, it will now wrap the text around. So you can move that picture around, and the picture will have text around it, and it won't be, interrupted. And so the third one is inline. Again, it will move it around. You can move it around. You have more functionality with it, with making those changes. The rotation, you can grab the little tag at the top of the picture, and you can spin it a little bit one way or the other, so you can make it a little bit more customized. When you click on a picture, so let's click off of the picture. Notice what the toolbar says right now. Let's go ahead and close our Explore tab for now. So notice that the menu is the way it is. Now when you click on the picture, you're going to get more functionality for that picture. And one of them is the image options. If you click on that, you'll get a sidebar, and you have more options available. You can click on the size and rotation, same thing that you did with the dragging and the moving around. You click on that size and rotation, open that up. You have the same features there. You can, on the angle, you can click on the caret, the little triangle up and down. You can go 90 degrees. You can lock the ratio, etc. Another cool feature, let's close that out and go down to text wrapping. Yeah, the same features there. It's just in a different, you can wrap on both sides, or you have, again, a little bit more customizable than your original way. So let's close that down. Position, I don't know anyone who really uses that to any large degree. The next one is recolor. This is an awesome tool. You can change the image. You can change it to black and white. You can colorize it. So you can make it Andy Warhol-ish. So, so that is a feature that you have there. And then Wayne's favorite tool for under reorder is adjustments and the transparency. And you can make that image still there, but more transparent. So you could put a text box over the top of it. In this case, what Wayne likes doing is he likes using that both in slides and in docs. You can take that image and put it as a background, and then you can type over the top of it. You still have the image of Ben Franklin in the background, but you also have text available. Okay. those are some really cool tools. Last few tools, if you go up to tools, Wayne, there is voice typing. And this is great when students have a hard time typing. So you can click on to speak, and as they speak, it will type it out for you. I think, Wayne, you're going to have to speak it out. It may not be 100%, but it's really close. So one of the cool, let's go ahead and turn that off. So one of the cool things is right up above the microphone is English. You can click on the little diamond there, triangle, and change it to whatever language you like. I think there's over 100 languages in there. So as you speak, it will come into a different language, whatever language you choose. So that's a tool that most people aren't aware of. There's also a translate tool. So if you go up to tools again, and there is a translate document. One of the cool features is it makes a copy in the other language, so it keeps the integrity of your original document and then translates everything into your choice of language. So you do have the option of being able to do that as well. So if you've got non-speaking English-speaking students, there's a way to a little bit easier way to communicate with them. That's all we're going to do now. I just wanted to give you some Kickstart ideas to what you can do in Docs. This is a freebie. There's no assignment to this. It's all going to be part of that 2-hour session. So I'm going to bring everybody back, and we'll remove that. And I just want to say to everybody who's remained with us, thank you, thank you, thank you for hanging with us and testing this out with us. It's not perfect, but we're getting better. If there's a question, they know how to use their accounts, but they talk. Oh, okay. So if there are any questions with Docs, again, contact one of us, and we'll be glad to work with you. I'm always available to sit with you virtually or together and work through whatever you're trying to do. Again, thank you. Thank you to Katie, Wayne, and Stephanie. Stephanie had to leave. She had another prior engagement. So, but thank you all. Anything do y'all have to add?
No, we're good.
We're good.